Let me set the record straight right now. If the situation had unfolded differently, trust me, it wouldn't have ended like that. ESPN's outspoken analyst Stephen A. Smith is once again generating buzz, but this time the chatter isn't centered around basketball. A jaw-dropping viral video involving Smith and LeBron James' wife, Savannah, has taken the internet by storm, leaving fans in a frenzy. Speculation is rampant, with many wondering what truly went down and if LeBron will break his silence. Some argue it's an innocent interaction, while others suspect there's more beneath the surface. Given Smith's already contentious history with LeBron, this incident has thrown more fuel on the fire. So, what's in the video and why has it become the talk of the town? Savannah James makes waves. Known for steering clear of drama, Savannah James has found herself at the center of a heated discussion after her latest actions caused an online uproar. The controversy began when Smith revisited a courtside run-in with LeBron during the Los Angeles Lakers matchup against the New York Knicks on March 6th. In a candid moment on his podcast, Smith doubled down, claiming he was fully ready to stand his ground if tensions had escalated further. He mentioned that if LeBron had touched him, he would have responded instantly, clearly implying he wouldn't have stood for any physical altercation. Just to clarify here, let me emphasize that even though we're talking about this scenario, things wouldn't have unfolded like that at all. I would have been the one getting beaten up, because if that man had laid a hand on me, I'd have reacted without hesitation and swung at him immediately. Earlier, he brought up the fact that this all took place on live television and questioned whether people really expected him to create another spectacle akin to the Chris Rock and Will Smith controversy. With cameras rolling during a live broadcast, what exactly did people expect him to do? Should he have turned it into a replay of Chris Rock and Will Smith? That infamous moment between Rock and Smith happened during the 2022 Oscars, where Chris Rock joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, referencing G.I. Jane. In retaliation, Will Smith got up, marched to the stage, slapped Rock across the face, and then returned to his seat, yelling at him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. Returning to Stephen Smith, his remarks did not strike fear into his audience, but instead sparked widespread ridicule. Complex Sports wasted no time sharing a clip of the moment, humorously punctuated with a womp womp meme, to emphasize just how ridiculous his statement sounded. The post quickly went viral, with fans flooding the comments to poke fun at Smith's so-called courage. What happened next was entirely unexpected. Savannah James caught wind of it. Rather than issuing any statements, she subtly expressed her thoughts by liking Complex Sports' post. As one ex-post detailed, Savannah James liked this post from Complex Sports about Stephen A. Smith claiming he would have struck LeBron James if LeBron had laid hands on him. That simple, quiet gesture spoke volumes. While Savannah had often remained silent about controversies tied to her husband, this time she appeared to align with the consensus that Smith's claim was nothing short of laughable. Savannah's response did not escape the keen eyes of fans. Many were quick to interpret her liking the post as a quiet show of support for LeBron amid the heated verbal exchange. This seemingly small gesture of interacting with the post sent a clear message. Smith's tough guy persona wasn't exactly being taken seriously. Just when interest in the feud appeared to be fading, LeBron James decided to step in himself. After the Lakers' exhilarating win against the Indiana Pacers, LeBron directly addressed Smith's remarks. Taking to Instagram, he shared a throwback video of Smith boxing, a clip that's frequently resurfaced online as a punchline. Alongside it, LeBron used the same womp womp meme originally posted by Complex Sports. Any lingering ambiguity about LeBron's position vanished, as his caption playfully read, "Womp womp womp pup," topped off with several laughing emojis. The post quickly took the internet by storm, gathering over 500,000 likes in less than an hour. Supporters swarmed the comment section, describing it as a decisive win for LeBron. Some humorously remarked that Smith had been defeated without even entering the ring, while others observed that LeBron's sharp wit only added to the embarrassment for the ESPN analyst. It's clear that LeBron never misses a chance to showcase his comedic side. However, his victory extended beyond the digital world. On the court that very evening, LeBron stunned fans with a last-second, game-winning shot, leading the Lakers to a dramatic 120-119 triumph. Despite a quiet performance overall, contributing just 13 points, his final moments on the court were unforgettable. As the clock ticked down, he maneuvered through defenders, snatched a vital rebound, and tipped the ball in just before the buzzer sounded. The crowd exploded into cheers as his teammates gathered around him in celebration. It was a scene that felt like poetic justice, coming just hours after he clapped back at Smith online, or better yet, silenced him. LeBron delivered a crucial victory for his team. As expected, the moment caused an uproar on social media, with fans highlighting the undeniable irony. After ridiculing Smith on Instagram, LeBron used those same hands to secure a win on the court. The internet quickly flooded with memes and reaction videos, all driving home one clear message. LeBron had triumphed in every conceivable way. Smith, however, wasn't ready to let things slide. In his next appearance on ESPN, he made an effort to brush off the criticism. Clearly agitated, he dismissed LeBron's actions as immature and even suggested that the Lakers star's behavior was unworthy of someone of his status. He contended that the entire issue had been exaggerated and insisted he was merely sharing his take on the courtside interaction. According to him, his remarks had been misconstrued, and he had no intention of antagonizing LeBron. Yet, the internet wasn't buying it. Once again, clips of Smith's response circulated widely, with fans continuing to ridicule his efforts to steer the conversation back in his favor. One person on social media quipped that Smith was upset because he knew it was hilarious, while another pointed out that LeBron was effortlessly occupying space in Stephen A's mind. Even some of Smith's most loyal followers found it tough to stand by him this time. To many, it appeared obvious that he had pushed things too far and was now dealing with the fallout. But who would break the news to him? Rewinding to the night of March 6th, LeBron had chosen to remain silent about the ordeal for weeks. Stay tuned for the full breakdown of the drama. Instead of addressing the incident right away, LeBron chose to wait until his guest appearance on the Pat McAfee show to finally speak about it. As he explained, "I wasn't planning to talk about this. I didn't want to, but since the video surfaced, I feel like I need to." He then shared his perspective on what happened, acknowledging that it's a commentator's role to critique what happens on the court. However, he drew the line at personal matters, hinting that Smith had crossed into attacking his character. "I would never stop anyone from discussing the game or critiquing players for their performance on the court. That's part of their job. But when it shifts into something personal, that's when I have to defend not only my family, but also the players," he said. LeBron went on to accuse Smith of blowing the situation out of proportion, comparing his ongoing commentary about the incident to a music tour. He jokingly remarked that Smith was pulling off a Taylor Swift tour, with how often he revisited their courtside interaction. Honestly, it felt like a moment that had been simmering for quite some time. He then challenged Smith's assertion that he was initially reluctant to address the situation. LeBron highlighted how Smith was actually among the first to discuss the matter publicly and appeared eager for the video to surface. With a sly grin, LeBron made his point. The most cutting remark, however, came when LeBron humorously imagined Smith lounging at home, ecstatic about the attention. He quipped that Smith was likely grinning from ear to ear, enjoying some ice cream, lounging in his chair in nothing but his underwear, and basking in the fact that LeBron had mentioned him. The internet roared with laughter. Fans were left astonished at how effortlessly LeBron dismantled Smith's version of events. To make matters worse for Smith, whispers began spreading about his alleged involvement in behind-the-scenes drama at ESPN. Even so, LeBron seems unfazed, maintaining his focus on helping the Lakers secure victories and chasing even loftier ambitions. It might be wise for Stephen A. Smith to set those boxing gloves aside for now. At the center of it all, Savannah James' unanticipated response stood out as one of the most defining moments of the controversy. Her subtle yet meaningful interaction, a simple like on complex sports post, suggested that Smith's remarks had been met with widespread criticism. With both LeBron and Savannah quietly yet effectively dismissing Smith's statements, people are left pondering how this entire debacle began. What caused a courtside clash? The confrontation between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith during the March 6th matchup at Madison Square Garden wasn't a spur-of-the-moment incident, but rather the peak of tensions that had been brewing for some time, mainly revolving around conversations about LeBron's son, Bronny James. To understand the full picture, here's the backstory. Bronny James, the son of NBA icon LeBron James, has lived much of his life in the spotlight, with his pursuit of a professional basketball career closely followed by fans and sports commentators alike. Last June, he was chosen by the Los Angeles Lakers as the 55th pick in the NBA draft, a decision that ignited significant debate across the basketball community. A debate arose about whether Ronnie's spot was earned through his abilities or heavily swayed by his father's reputation. Smith did not hold back in voicing his opinions on Ronnie's readiness for the NBA. At the end of January, he proposed that Ronnie would be better served honing his skills in the G League rather than diving straight into the NBA. Smith went on to stress that it appeared Ronnie's involvement in the league was predominantly tied to his father's status. He even made a direct appeal to LeBron James as a fellow parent, urging him to rethink the situation, claiming that everyone was aware Ronnie's place in the NBA hinged on his dad's influence. Known worldwide for his exceptional basketball talent, as well as his dedication to his family, LeBron James grew visibly frustrated with the unyielding media attention aimed at his son. By late February, during an interview in the locker room, LeBron openly criticized sports analysts, accusing them of frequently targeting players with undue negativity. He questioned why anyone would want to lead the league when the daily coverage seemed filled with relentless scrutiny and disparagement. The tension came to a head on March 6th during a matchup between the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. During a pause in the action, LeBron made his way towards Smith, who was seated near the court. According to eyewitness accounts, LeBron firmly instructed Smith to leave his son out of the conversation, distinctly pointing out that Ronnie was his child. The situation quickly became a major talking point across sports outlets and social media platforms. Fans and analysts expressed mixed reactions, with some backing LeBron's stance, seeing it as a father appropriately standing up for his son against unwarranted criticism. On the other hand, some pundits argued that, as a professional athlete, Ronnie should be open to the same level of scrutiny as any other player, deeming LeBron's involvement unnecessary. Online discourse mirrored this division. Some voices criticized Stephen A. Smith's comments about Ronnie, labeling them excessive and emphasizing the immense pressure the young player already faces, advocating for a more nurturing environment to help him grow. They defended LeBron's confrontation, pointing out the importance of distinguishing between meaningful critique and what they felt was baseless, attention-driven disparagement. Opposing views suggested, however, that if LeBron and Ronnie couldn't handle media criticism, perhaps Ronnie's entry into the NBA draft warranted reconsideration. They hinted that without LeBron's influence, Ronnie might have pursued an alternate route, such as playing professionally overseas. This viewpoint cast doubt on Ronnie's path to the NBA, suggesting that familial connections heavily influenced his opportunity. In response, Smith addressed the controversy across various platforms, describing LeBron's reaction as disappointing while standing by his earlier remarks about Ronnie. During a recent podcast, he elaborated on the incident and clarified his intentions. Smith stressed that his critique was never a personal attack on Ronnie, but rather an honest acknowledgement of the challenges he faces. He noted that many second-round picks must work hard to climb the ranks, and Ronnie is no different. Although he initially argued that Ronnie wasn't ready for the NBA, Smith acknowledged the young player's notable progress. He also highlighted how being thrust into the public made Ronnie an easy target for media criticism, while denying that the scrutiny was unjust. Smith admitted that his friends Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony were largely valid in their support of Ronnie, but he remained firm in his position. In the end, Smith expressed genuine admiration for Ronnie's growth and extended his best wishes for the player's future success. A number of listeners found Smith's stance quite amusing, with one drawing a parallel to the rivalry between Drake and Kendrick Lamar in rap battles. Another said the feud was more entertaining than the NBA itself. Some viewers appreciated Smith's candid confession that he had never been a fan of LeBron, valuing his honesty even though they felt that sports journalists should strive for impartiality. Others, however, highlighted what they saw as inconsistency, noting that Smith had previously stated he had no problem with LeBron, only to later accuse him of betrayal. One listener sarcastically questioned which of Smith's declarations could be considered the real truth. Many chuckled at Smith's apparent obsession with having the final say, with one commenter joking that if the concept of always needing the last word were a person, it would undoubtedly be Smith. Another reminded everyone that Smith had repeatedly claimed he was done talking about the matter, only to continue bringing it up in several interviews. Several found humor in Smith's assertion that he would have physically confronted LeBron if their disagreement had escalated. One person called it the most outrageous statement ever made by a sports commentator, while another humorously observed that Smith had spent nearly an hour dissecting a 3-minute clip, all while asserting he could take on an athlete who is 6'9" and weighs 260 pounds. There were also discussions about the idea of a mediated conversation between LeBron and Smith led by Shannon Sharpe, with one viewer predicting it would draw an enormous audience. At the same time, another running gag suggested Skip Bayless might be reveling in the drama, kicking back with his feet up, sipping on a Diet Dew, and enjoying the chaotic show. Some viewers felt LeBron James had wronged Brian Windhorst, the journalist often considered one of LeBron's most loyal advocates throughout his career. Others defended Smith's stance, clarifying he had never reported on Bronny James during his middle school, high school, or college days, highlighting his focus has been strictly on NBA matters. One commenter, who identified as a mail carrier, humorously thanked the prolonged conversation for making their workday more bearable. Another person drew a playful parallel between LeBron's predicament and the lively chaos of a Diddy party, adding a humorous twist to the discussion. Meanwhile, other supporters simply applauded Smith for consistently keeping it real, while some chuckled at how much buzz this spat had generated, once again showcasing that in sports media, controversy drives attention. As the back and forth over Bronny James continued to spark debates, a new, potentially more damaging storm began to form around Smith, one that could have significant repercussions on his career path. Stephen Smith's controversies. Stephen A. Smith undeniably ranks among the most prominent figures in sports media. Over the years, he has carved out a reputation as a fiery commentator known for his unapologetic opinions, booming voice, and intense discussions. Yet, despite his success, he hasn't been immune to his share of controversies. He is a staple on ESPN's First Take, where he shares his opinions on the latest sports topics and engages in heated debates with fellow analysts. Lately, though, Smith has been navigating turbulent waters in his career. A series of controversies, feuds, and missteps have cast doubt on his future at the network. While some still regard him as the undisputed leader of sports commentary, others feel his star power may be fading. One of the most talked about incidents involved an alleged clash between Smith and Pat McAfee, another prominent figure at ESPN. McAfee, a former NFL punter turned host of the Pat McAfee Show, has gained significant popularity with his candid and entertaining approach, appealing to the younger audience ESPN has been striving to engage. According to insiders, the disagreement stemmed from creative differences tied to a project under Smith's production company, Mr. SAS Productions. The confrontation reportedly escalated to the point where McAfee hurled harsh remarks at Smith, prompting ESPN to bar him from appearing on First Take. This alleged fallout quickly made waves online, fueling speculation about a fierce battle for influence within the network. Both Smith and McAfee were quick to refute the allegations. But that's not the whole story. Another major incident that has tarnished Smith's credibility involved a false statement he made about NBA icon LeBron James. On an episode of First Take, Smith alleged that LeBron was absent from Kobe Bryant's memorial service following his tragic passing in 2020, insinuating that LeBron's absence reflected poorly on his character. However, this claim turned out to be entirely untrue. Reliable accounts later revealed that LeBron did attend the service, but specifically requested not to be filmed. While LeBron did not deliver a speech during the memorial, his presence was subtly acknowledged by others. WNBA star Diana Taurasi, for instance, cracked a lighthearted joke about LeBron during her tribute to Gianna Bryant, even appearing to glance in his direction during her remarks. Smith's assertion was ultimately debunked, marking a significant misstep on his part. This confirms that LeBron did attend, even though he stayed out of the limelight. After social media users highlighted LeBron's presence at Kobe's memorial, Smith attempted to clarify his stance. He acknowledged receiving a flood of messages on his phone, with people correcting his oversight. However, rather than fully owning up to the mistake, Smith defended himself by claiming he never explicitly stated LeBron wasn't there. He clarified his remarks by saying, "I didn't mean to imply he wasn't in the venue." He further explained, "I was informed that he was inside. You get what I'm saying? But we saw plenty of other players out there. We just didn't see him. One day, if he chooses, I'll let him address that himself." However, this response left a sour taste for many, as it came across as though Smith was sidestepping the opportunity to admit he had been in the wrong. Instead of owning up to his error, he attempted to redirect the discussion toward the absence of LeBron from the footage. On another occasion, Smith misstepped again by criticizing LeBron for not being present at Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He implied that LeBron skipped the event without any valid justification, but the facts paint a very different picture. The ceremony took place merely 2 weeks after LeBron's son, Bronny, went through a severe heart issue. During that time, LeBron and his family were entirely focused on Bronny's recovery. Just prior to Wade's recognition, the James family had been at the Mayo Clinic to ensure Bronny was receiving top-tier medical attention. Despite these facts, Smith inaccurately claimed that Wade's ceremony occurred before Bronny's health crisis, a statement that was completely untrue. I get it. A few months back, Bronny James experienced a major health scare involving a heart condition, collapsing while at USC and being rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, he has since recovered. From what I've gathered, LeBron James took the opportunity to spend quality time with his family afterward. However, it's also understood that he traveled during the summer. Now, I'm not LeBron James, and I don't frequently fly on private jets, though I do on rare occasions. That said, it seems plausible that he could have made time to attend his brother's Hall of Fame induction. Meanwhile, some sports fans have voiced critiques, claiming Smith comes across as excessively loud, overly theatrical, and more concerned with stirring up debates than fostering substantive conversations about sports. One person even commented on social media, expressing that they found him overwhelming, admitting they couldn't stand all the shouting and unnecessary theatrics. They argued that discussions about sports should focus on the actual games rather than competing over who can yell the loudest. The individual mentioned that they used to appreciate watching him, but now it feels as if his focus is more on grabbing attention than offering genuine analysis. A significant issue highlighted by viewers revolves around ESPN seemingly spotlighting Smith too much, as he's featured on almost every program. One audience member noted that it seemed as though he was omnipresent on the network, joking that he appeared morning, afternoon, and night on ESPN. Consequently, there have been calls from some for the network to allocate more screen time to other analysts. On another note, the prospect of Smith running for office in 2028 is already quite outlandish, but when paired with his ongoing dispute with LeBron James, the scenario becomes even more chaotic. Some online commentators have speculated that this feud could create significant turbulence at the Democratic National Convention, DNC, potentially altering the political dynamics. One person humorously suggested that delegates who support LeBron might stage a protest at the DNC, which could prompt California Governor Gavin Newsom, a known LeBron supporter, to establish his own party, whimsically dubbed the Cow-El Party. Another prediction proposed that this rift in the Democratic vote might ultimately pave the way for Senator Laura Loomer to secure the presidency. One commenter sarcastically remarked that both LeBron and Smith would be their top picks for the Democratic primary in 2028, showcasing the absurdity of the situation. However, not everyone found the discussion remotely amusing. One individual dismissed the entire conversation as pointless, asserting that the typical voter doesn't fixate on the NBA. In contrast, someone else pushed back, arguing that Americans often elevate sports to a near-religious status, almost as though it offers a path to eternal redemption. Another participant adopted a more reflective stance, suggesting that being a sports fan might actually serve a constructive role. They proposed it offers an outlet for channeling primal tribal impulses in a relatively harmless way, rather than letting those instincts spill over into the political arena. The notion of LeBron James entering the realm of politics isn't particularly new. Following the 2024 elections, there was speculation about him potentially running in the 2026 midterms or even launching a campaign for the presidency in 2028. One observer commented that while LeBron's chances of winning a national election would be slim, except maybe in a solidly Democratic state, it would still be fascinating to watch him face off against Stephen A. in a Democratic primary debate in 2027. Others floated the idea that LeBron could find success in his home state of Ohio. A commenter highlighted his charitable initiatives and the school he opened in Akron as potential assets for a political platform. They also mentioned his ability to galvanize both young voters and black voters as another possible advantage. Despite LeBron's prominence, not everyone believed in his potential for success. One person contended that the Democratic Party's main challenge lies not in their debating prowess, but in their inability to effectively connect with voters lacking a college education. They argued that many Democratic leaders fail to present their ideas in a manner that truly resonates with everyday people. Conversely, another voice claimed Stephen A. Smith might excel in this area. They highlighted how his profession relies on his skill to simplify complex concepts into accessible points, suggesting he could potentially outshine most politicians in terms of communication. Meanwhile, someone else took a sharp dig at J.D. Vance, asserting that he was unfit for presidential duties. They mockingly called him a certified scrub, saying that while he might grasp governance, he lacked the leadership required for the position. Adding to the humor, they quipped about Vance's supposedly small hands being a hindrance for signing legislation and his problematic feet hindering him from keeping pace with military demands. Smith, widely recognized as a leading figure in sports commentary, has sparked mixed opinions regarding his potential influence. Some see him as a pioneer in sports media, while others contend he symbolizes a deeper cultural issue in the United States. One individual argued that Stephen A. embodies a broader challenge, pointing out that Americans seem obsessed with grievances, whether they're genuine or fabricated. Another echoed this sentiment, suggesting that today's sports talk programs often resemble reality television more than substantive game analysis. A soccer enthusiast contrasted American sports media with how soccer is covered in other nations, noting that international shows tend to focus on either thoughtful analysis or entertaining commentary rather than sensationalism. However, they conceded that American sport coverage can sometimes feel like a male version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. A veteran sports fan voiced their dissatisfaction with the current state of sports media, admitting they tuned out 2 decades ago because of the over-the-top drama. With a touch of humor, they remarked that if they wanted petty drama, they'd just listen to their wife. Another commenter agreed, criticizing American sports media as being uniquely problematic. Meanwhile, a viewer from France suggested that sensationalism isn't limited to the U.S., admitting that soccer coverage in their own country is often just as focused on stirring up scandals as it is on game breakdowns, despite a few quality shows. It was pointed out that numerous sports journalists rarely watch entire matches and instead concentrate solely on the goals, which often results in superficial commentary. Another person contended that soccer analysts are even more prone to engaging in provocative banter than their American peers. They argued that leagues like the Premier League and La Liga thrive on sensationalism, controversies, and tabloid culture akin to what ESPN capitalizes on in the U.S. Smith has enjoyed an outstanding career, but recent developments have sparked discussions regarding his future. To remain at the top of his game, he must choose his words wisely, steer clear of unnecessary controversies, and demonstrate his ability to resonate with modern audiences. Tap the cards on your screen to discover more of our exciting videos.